Alex, thanks very much for taking a bit of time to have a chat to us this afternoon. And I know things are starting to get a little bit nervy in anticipation of tomorrow's competition, yeah?
Yeah, yes and no. I think with this being my second trip, it's a bit easier for me because, not because it's any easier doing what we have to do tomorrow, but because I'm a bit more aware of exactly what it's like standing on that stage. It's been a couple of years, but it's still, I feel less nervy, but
Right.
certainly not nerve-free.
And I think you've managed to have a slightly more relaxed week leading up to the competition than you perhaps did last time.
Yes, last time there was a couple issues with travel and a cancelled flight. This time I'm thankfully still on parental leave from my day job, so I was able, with permission from my lovely wife, to come over last weekend. So I've been here since Sunday, and I've been staying with friends and able to practice just each morning in their flat and then just enjoying my time in Glasgow.
Is that because you wanted the time to practice or because you wanted a bit more time away from the demands of a young family?
It was a interesting turn. The first night I was here, I slept for 12 and a half hours. And some of that was jet lag, but I think some of it was maybe related to the dog and stress at home that I was putting on myself with preparing. So I certainly miss my family, but having the time where I've just been able to focus on just me has been great.
How's it going with the young family? Enjoying it all?
Very much. My son Colin thankfully loves the pipes. He's 16 months now, and he, when he goes for nap time, that's when I'm able to go practice. He sleeps through pipes no problem, and thankfully our dog is also really good about the pipes too. He actually tries to get as close to the door as he can for when I'm playing, and he'll just sit there and listen as well. So and of course my wife is pretty forgiving with this stuff too. So I've got it good.
You talked about having the ability to spend a bit of time in preparation for tomorrow because you've been in Glasgow for a week. Talk us through a little bit about what that preparation entails. How do you prepare for a competition that's as big as the Glenfiddich is?
I think at this stage it's largely maintaining. Over the last week, there's maybe little tweaks you can make, but really it's, how do I make sure that my bagpipe is perfectly maintained, the hemp's spotless, tape's perfect, and that you're just keeping things going. I wouldn't say this is the time to rock the boat. You want to try and keep things just steady. So I've been playing for about an hour each morning, trying not to overdo it, but making sure that, stamina is certainly not going to be an issue tomorrow because it can feel like a long day where you're sort of under pressure for a while. But I think generally it's just been about trying to maintain how things are at this stage.
Is tomorrow a physical test as much as a mental test?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely more mentally exhaustive, but because of that and, the amount of things you're thinking about and playing on that stage, I'm sure, the average heart rate would be about 150. So it's, at the end of the day, I remember last time getting into the Prince Charlie gear and you're just sitting there like, oh my gosh. And, you get your second wind and you have a great time at the Cayley afterward, but it's definitely tiring on all fronts. Worthwhile tiring, but it's not a walk in the park for me.
And what does it mean to, not just to you, but what does it mean to piping in your part of the world that you guys come over here and are represented at the Glenfiddich?
Well, I think no matter where you are in the world, having someone from your country, from the province, from the state, whatever, having someone just being invited from outside of Scotland, not that we want to try and, separate things, it's a huge honor. And for me, my friends have been super supportive. Everybody's, really happy in the band. And it's just playing at the Glenfiddich, it's like getting invited to the All-Star game. So it's the biggest honor that you can receive, just being invited to play on that stage.
You say get invited, but the reality is you were only invited because you qualified to be invited. So don't put yourself down in the sense that that you deserve to be here. You've earned your place.
Yes, and it was funny. I was chatting with Liz Maxwell about that, and she said the same thing because I was like, thank you for having me. And she's like, well, you did it, which is great, and it's true. It doesn't always feel real because since as long as I've been aware of what piping is, and my dad's had a long career with many invites here, I've known that this is the goal. So being here and being one of the 10, it's still very much the pinch me moment where I'm going, wow, like I'm getting to compete against all these wonderful players, and even some of them that taught me as a kid. Like I remember going to summer schools, and Willie McCallum and Angus McCall and Jack Lee were all teaching there. So having this workout where I'm able to play on the same stage as them, it's a really huge honor.
You talked about being one of the 10. How did it feel 4 years ago when you and your dad were 2 of the 10?
It was. I've thought about it since, because even I've found myself since Inverness thinking about, it's going to be great to be here, and almost forgetting that unfortunately Dad didn't get invited here, because it's just like I've always associated the Glenfiddich with him. So it's really great. Both my parents are going to be here to watch and support, and Dad's competing in London next week. But when we both came, I think a lot of people wanted it to be like it was going to be like me and him, like a showdown. Like we didn't want each other, and it was not that at all. Like we always want each other to play as good as possible. Because I think in any contest, you don't want to be the guy that wins when everybody else kind of drops the ball. It's you want to rise to the top when it's been a really great contest. So. It keeps both of us in good shape over the summer, being able to compete against each other. We play in the same band. I spend a lot of time with him. He lives 5 minutes down the road from our home. But it was never really competitive in that way. Obviously it is a competition, but it was just, it was really, really cool to be like, I'm doing this with my dad, and nobody's able to have said that yet.
Yeah.
So being the first ones to be invited at the same time, it's great.
Good.
Yeah.
We talked about preparation a couple of minutes ago. Tell me the tunes that you're playing when you're in that final tuning room tomorrow morning or afternoon. When is the last time that you'll actually play the tunes that you're going to play on the platform before you go into the platform?
So, for the PRIC, I probably won't play the entire tune tomorrow. I'll be playing pieces, trying to sort of warm my hands up, making sure that, I've been, dialing the bagpipe in, because I think trying to play a whole tune in your warm-up, I think it's a pretty good way to maybe get into your head in a negative manner. So it would be more thinking about, okay, so I got tune X, and last time I was working on the tune with my teacher, Colin McClellan, he said, let's just remember to do these little things, and that those could be the extra bits of polish. So thinking about some of the finer details, but also trying not to think too much about changing what you're already going to do. And for the light music, I would really just be thinking about, I'll typically play the fourth part of the tune to make sure, okay, back to the first, remember that, and then thinking about how you're going to do the break between your march and your strathspey and your reel. But generally, for me, the warm-up, it's more about just keeping your hands agile and trying to make your pipe as good as possible, because sort of like I was saying before, most of the hard work is done, and trying not to rock the boat at this stage and just try to have a clean play and let chips fall.
Good. One last wee question that we're going to ask everybody and see what kind of answers we get. Is there one item that needs to be in your pipe case all the time?
Yeah, hemp.
Yeah?
Hemp. Well, hemp and tape.
Hemp and tape.
Yeah, you gotta have a well-maintained bagpipe that is tunable.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be hard for me to pick just one, but yeah, maintenance items maybe if we're gonna go generic and say one thing.
Okay, good man. Alec, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. Have a great day tomorrow and enjoy the rest of your time in Scotland. Cheers.
Great. Thanks, Fergus.